उलझ में कितने उलझे हुए हैं आप।
मैं तो बहुत सुलझा हुआ हूँ, बाकी सब उलझे हुए हैं। मैं तो
आप
काम में भी
बाकी
बिजी
सबको
हूँ।
उलझा रहे हैं, हाँ।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। और मैं तो अभी फिलहाल काम से बाहर भी आया हूँ, तो मैं प्रमोशंस का हिस्सा भी नहीं हूँ। वो लोग कर रहे हैं अपना।
Tell me, you said somewhere that this is your most complex role. You played it all. So why do you say that?
No, no, I don't think. Firstly, I think it'll be a huge mistake if I start to think that I've played it all. Uh, शायद मैंने बोला होगा, मुझे याद नहीं है, लेकिन कॉम्प्लेक्स तो जरूर है। मोस्ट कॉम्प्लेक्स का पता नहीं है, लेकिन है, आई थिंक। हाँ, दिस इज क्वाइट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड। और शुरुआत में फिगर आउट करने में थोड़ा समय लग गया इस चीज को। और मेरे कुछ आइडियाज थे, सुधांशु के कुछ आइडियाज थे, एंड सम वर वेरी कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग आइडियाज। सो एंड देन वी सॉर्ट ऑफ लाइक फाउंड सम कॉमन ग्राउंड। तो जो दिखता है वैसा नहीं है। There's more to it than what meets the eye. I mean, you can say that about the whole film, and all of the characters actually are pretty much like that. So, I find it fascinating and intriguing, and it's a huge point of interest also to take up roles where I don't know how to play it. And sometimes you read a script and immediately you have ideas and you get excited, which is fun, and then you want to do it. लेकिन कुछ टाइम ऐसा होता है कि इंटरेस्टिंग आपको बहुत लगता है रोल, लेकिन आपको बिल्कुल आइडिया नहीं है कि इसको करेंगे कैसे. सो आई थिंक दिस वाज वन ऑफ दोज roles. I had no idea how to do it, and
But
which is why it was interesting.
on the face of it, I mean, whatever I have seen from the trailer, it looks like a bad guy's role. It is not. It's far
I'm
more
not saying
complex
anything.
than that.
I'm not saying anything. That's all that I will say. I'm not going to lead anybody in any direction. I mean, I think I generally also, with all my other films also, I'd rather not talk about the role or the character or the preparation or anything like that. I think I would really like people to go and watch it and come to their own conclusions about it. Whether they like it, not like it, or whatever, it's fine.
Okay, another thing is, on the face of it, this looks like a heroine-driven film. I'm not
Yeah.
wrong about
No,
that.
not it looks like. It definitely is.
It
She's
definitely.
front and center of the film, and she's doing all the heavy lifting.
So what makes you say yes to a part, especially
The
this
part was
one,
great.
and even otherwise?
No, but there's two criteria, and I've always followed this right from the beginning, even when I didn't have any work. I have to have a genuine interest in wanting to do that part. That's really important. Sometimes I feel creative, as I was saying, and sometimes the degree of difficulty is also makes it interesting. So that is that. Genuine interest has to be that creates a compulsion to want to do it. The second one is it has to be good for my career. And at different stages, it keeps changing. That these criteria keep changing. So it has to be good for my career as well, because I am responsible for curating my career and nobody else. So I have to make the choices that are good for me, that I think. I mean, you get it wrong here and there, but that's okay. Everybody gets it wrong here and there. But consistently, I want to make the right choices. And with the experience that I have, with the know-how that I have, I back myself to make the correct decisions for myself. So these are the two criteria. Once this is satisfied, then the rest of the things, like what's the director's vision, who are the producers, what's the release size, the theatrical, is it a thing, cast like, and all the other parameters. So there are contracts and remunerations and so on and so forth.
So good for your career. Does the fact that the movie is releasing in theaters, does that
Yeah.
put? I mean, is there box office pressure on you?
No, no, no. I mean, not yet.
How do you escape it?
But not because you can't really do anything about it. It's really up to the people. I mean, there are other ways to monetize an IP, which the producers know quite well. But I'm not part of that at all. And to a large extent, there is not that much pressure on me also, because I'm not the front and center of the film. If I was front and center of the film, then probably there will be a bit more pressure. But still, I'm saying that I wouldn't want to take on that pressure, because I can't really predict. I just want to focus on what I have to do and enjoy it as much as I can, contribute to it as much as I can creatively, and then let people decide whether they find it interesting or not. I think that's a good perspective and a healthy perspective for me to have. I do feel that if I start to take the pressure, then I will be very result oriented, and I don't think that's good for me.
Which you are not, but you said you choose things which are good for your career.
Results are important, but I don't want to be result oriented. I don't want everything that I do to have to already have to have like, I hope this will result in this and that. I don't want to. I just want to focus on the whole process of making a film, and creating the illusion of a part should be interesting and fun for me. That's the focus. So they say in philosophy, the focus on the journey, not the destination. So this is what I mean by that. I want to focus on the on the journey, and not really on the destination. I don't even want to know where I'll arrive. Maybe I'll get to some place where nobody has before. I don't know. If I have to allow for that to happen, if I have to allow for that to happen, then I have to allow for surprises also, and not really have preconceived ideas and hopes and destinations already pre-planned that I want to get there. So if you want to find something new in your career, then you have to allow for that to happen, and also allow for people and yourself also to push yourself in some directions unknown.
Talking of the journey of this particular film, the casting looks very interesting. In fact, it's almost like unity in diversity kind of thing of India. There's Roshan Matthew, there's Mayank, there's you, and there's Janvi, who herself is a mix of two cultures. So tell me a little about that.
There's Adil Hussain.
Such diverse cast.
There's Adil Hussain. There's
there's
Jitendra
Adil Hussain
Joshi.
from Assam again.
A lot of
Yes.
fabulous actors. It's a great mix of senior actors and people who have just a few years old and all of that. I believe it's Roshan Matthew's first theatrical Hindi release. So that way, for Hindi films, he's quite a newbie. He's quite established in the Malayalam industry. It's a great cast. It's those heroes of mine, and he's had a profound impact on my idea of what the craft should be, because I have had the good fortune, or should I say the misfortune, of having actually seen him perform live. I say misfortune because he's exceptional, as in it's impossible for anybody to be that good. Really, but one should aspire. So I was like, I want to be that good, but I don't know if I can. So
but when you have,
he's people know, mostly people know him from his film work, but when you have great actors alongside, you will learn from their process and their approach, what kind of choices they make as an actor in a scene. You learn all of those things by watching.
But is there a greater competitive spirit too?
Sometimes there is. A good, competition is not necessarily a bad thing. If it can be healthy, then it's good. Yeah. So as long as you realize those boundaries, when it gets into ego and it becomes about one-upmanship rather than, a creative pursuit of excellence, then it should be a pursuit of excellence, and it should be civil and not really about like, I'm better than you. Yeah.
And
but anymore, I don't. I feel
you don't need
that,
to.
No, not like that at all. It's not that I'm, sure of myself or confident or anything like that. Sometimes, you get carried away in competition and the scene suffers. It really becomes like, about two actors trying to show who can articulate a line better, or, who looks better, or who can create some nuance in a scene, and then the scene really suffers. So you have to work with what you have, and sometimes you have actors who are not very experienced, who are struggling a bit, but you still have to help them out and give them the opportunity and environment and you still have to make the scene work. So that is more important, I guess.
But what about Janvi? She's a star, of course, but as an actor, she's like, at times critics and audiences are rather harsh towards her. What is your assessment of her as an actor and as a human being too?
I'm not very familiar with her work. Actually, I have not seen any of her films except for the part that she did in Ghost Stories, and I thought she was very good in that. She was in the anthology. I was in Dibakar's film, and she was in Zoya's film. I thought she was very good in that, and I enjoyed working with her because she's a professional actor, and she's extremely professional and hardworking, and that's all that I care about. That's all that matters to me. I have had a similar relationship with many people, including Rajkumar Rao. We are friendly, but we are not friends. And we hardly talk to each other or spend time together or anything. But we just get the job done because that's our job. So, and Janvi is exactly like that. And I do feel that the criticism, see, people are free to have their likes and dislikes. I'm nobody to tell them what you should like and what you shouldn't like. But they can be a lot more civil. They can make an attempt to be a little more civil
Yeah, that's
in their critique. And I think it gets too personal. And there is an angst. There is a tendency to want to tear people down who are privileged because it makes you feel better about yourself somewhere. You get a like a cheap thrill, pleasure, because all of us are suffering, no? And then sometimes we get so consumed by our own sufferings, we don't really stop to think that
care.
they might have pleasures. And yeah, so I feel that if you can be a little empathetic, and then yeah, criticism is very important, but try and be civil about it. That's my request. I mean, will people listen to me? I don't think so, but I tried.
But 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 that brings me to the fact that you are rarely criticized. I mean, like the fact that you are
No,
almost
I am, I am,
critics'
I am these
darling,
days.
and audiences. I mean, like even those on the even the trolls, so-called trolls, love you. So does my all the time, and when because you're not
No.
used to this criticism.
I seem to be handling this pressure quite well. That's all I have to say right now. But I think I also have the ability to take how much I need and just let the rest go. Because a little bit of criticism you have to take because it helps in your growth. But if you listen to all the criticism, then I think just वो मतलब उपजाऊ जमीन खराब हो जाएगी तो बंजर हो
But
जाएगी.
you were talking of contrasting opinions with Sudhanshu Sarya, right?
Yes,
With the
yes, yes.
director.
Yeah, we had a little bit of friction,
Uh,
but it was all good. It was all towards a constructive direction, and it took a while for us to sort of set in place. And he's very detail oriented, and he had his ideas, and I had my ideas, and so I was talking about Sudhanshu, but then
hmm.
it did, like, I'm glad that it happened also, because again, like I say, like how a little bit of struggle, like a little bit of friction is also important. A little bit of that competitive spirit we're talking about, little bit of friction is also important, because so I'm glad that we had that. I mean, everything shouldn't be easy now in life. Little bit should be
Yeah.
that, and you have to be willing to embrace that friction also. Yeah, which
But when
I'm glad that he was. And he allowed for that, me to sort of argue my case sometimes, or like that I want to make certain choices. I'm glad he allowed, and thank you, Sudhanshu, for allowing me that freedom also to sort of go and persist with my ideas, and like and like clash with him a little bit.
so can you explain what exactly it was? No.
No, that would, like, I don't want to divulge in the details.
Hmm.
But it's if I divulge in the details, then it's really like me talking about the scenes and revealing plot points and characters and all that, so
Right.
that's not fun. So
Hmm. But are you a director's actor,
sure,
or are you a director's delight?
I don't know, the directors have to say whether I'm a delight or not, but understanding the perspective and the sensibility of the storyteller, in this case a director, is paramount for me. Because if I understand what they're trying to make and how they're trying to make and how they're trying to tell the story, then I can tailor my craft to suit that sensibility. Like if I'm doing a Bansali's film, and if I'm doing I'm approaching a scene or a character like how I would in an Anurag Kashyap film, then it won't fit.
Right.
It will not fit. It are completely different sensibilities. I look like I'm in a completely different film altogether. So I have to understand that. So that's what I mean. So it was important for me to understand Sudhanshu's vision and and his sensibilities also, as to how he's going to tell this story.
So what? How would you? What would you say is his vision? I mean, like
Well,
how
that you
can
will
you
see.
define? No,
That you will
that
see.
of course.
His vision, to put it in a
But
nutshell,
as
again, I'm
from an
not
actor's point of view.
yeah, sure. I'm not familiar with his work because I have not seen his other two films,
Hmm.
or the film for which he won his national award. I know him only from my experience with him and Ulaj. There is more to it than what meets the eye. This stands true for the film as well as Sudhanshu's approach to telling this story.
There's more to him, but
No.
having
This
worked.
with this particular film, there is nuance to it. I mean, it is an entertaining film because it's a spy thriller. It's meant to be entertaining. It's written in a way to be entertaining with all the twists and turns and all of those things and interesting characters and mystery and all that. But there is nuance to such things also. So, which is is Sudhanshu's perspective with this script. But again, having said that, I'm not entirely familiar with his career and his directorial debut or directorial ventures for that matter. So I can't have an overall general opinion about him. But with this film, there is some nuance to each scene and character.
But having worked with the best there are, I mean, talking of directors, whether it's Rajan DK, you've got Sanjay Leela Bhansali, then Vasan Bala,
Dibakar,
and so many others,
Dibakar.
Yeah. So the directors, I mean, of course, figure in your mind on your mind when you sign a project. I mean, how important an ingredient are they of before you sign a project?
I would say that it's not the most important, because many times it's a limiting factor, because sometimes I've also worked with new directors and who don't have a body of work to show, and it's just like from meeting them and trying to sort of assess them. So I don't use it as a like a thumb rule, like to choose to be part of something. So it comes in secondary. So first I have to have genuine interest in the part and the story, and it has to be good for my career, and then the director's vision. So, but if I don't allow myself to be surprised by new directors, then again, I'm not doing anything interesting with my career. If I only want to work with established directors whose work I know, then it's just a wish list I'm ticking. I'm not really allowing myself to go in any new direction. So, this is not such an important factor, because, and I think I am wise enough to understand whom to work with and whom not to work with. वो पता चल जाता है. और बात करके ना एक 15-20 मिनट बात करके पता चल जाता है कि इनकी कैपेसिटी क्या है, हैंडल कर पाएंगे नहीं कर पाएंगे, वो है. एंड समटाइम्स देयर आर डायरेक्टर्स हु आर अ बिट इनएक्सपीरियंस्ड, बट देन you feel that it's a good project and they have made wise choices in terms of casting and things like that, ki somehow they'll pull through, and everybody wants an opportunity also, na? So sometimes new directors, all they also want is a good opportunity to sort of show that they're capable. So I want to sort of allow for that to happen as well.
But you using this expression good for your career quite a number of times. But you are happy with the way your career. I mean, you should be. But are you personally happy with the way your career has shaped up?
It's been very satisfying, right, up until now. I have no complaints. It could have been better, but that anybody, I guess everybody will say that about their career. It could have been better, but I'm very satisfied with it.
How could it have been better in terms of
box in hindsight, like yeah, sure. Like many things, the views for something could have been better. The box office numbers for some films could have been better. The release, I mean, the variety of things. I mean, those are not really that important. What is important is that, I think I have learned to take them all in my stride, and I've had my fair share of disappointments, but then I've managed to overcome them, and I'm really able to do so. I don't have it running in my veins, turning into poison and making me bitter about, certain people or certain projects or whatever. It's been a learning experience, and I'm.
So would you say response to Bad Cop has been disappointing or satisfying?
No, not at all. It's been very good. Response to Bad Cop has been very good. I don't have the exact data, but then people at Hotstar, they're extremely satisfied, because the common complaint was that people wanted to binge watch it, but they are getting one episode per week. But that's not really affecting the figures. It's doing well in terms of the figures, and it's showing in top 10 in India every week since its release. And among the top 10, it's one of the probably the only one. And then there's another Hotstar show, which is season 1. Most of the other shows have franchise value, like Mirzapur and Panchayat and Kota Factory. They all have franchise value. We don't have that franchise value. So for a first season show to be in top 10 every week for every episode is pretty good, I would say.
And doesn't matter that critics are not so kind.
No, they're free to have their opinion. I mean, I would agree with a lot of things. Sometimes I would agree, but that cannot be the only perspective, right? Like it's a subjective medium, and my opinion and your opinion can be different about the same thing.
Yeah.
So, and we both have a right to have that opinion. That's all right.
And your future projects. There's a series, Therapy.
Yeah, Therapy.
The making.
Yes. That's
I believe it's about mental health. So Is it?
Well, yeah, it is. It's about a dysfunctional family and how they, figure things out. And I really enjoyed it. And it's a great cast. Manoj Pawar, Seema Pawar, fantastic actors. I mean, Manoj Pawar is. I think the business does a great disservice to him as branding him as a comedy actor. He's one of the finest
Absolutely.
dramatic. He's one of the finest dramatic actors, and so is Mrs. Seema Pawar. They play my parents, and they're terrific. And Girija Oak Godbole. I don't know why we hadn't worked with each other for so long. It was fantastic, and I mean, we are friends now, and that was a fantastic experience. And Neha is so great in it, like Neha is, and the kids who are playing it. It's just fantastic. I really enjoyed myself. And Sachin Pathak is the director. He used to be assistant to Mr. Nishikant Kamath, and he's sort of trained he's been on every Nishikant Kamath film. So I really enjoyed working with him also. It's a great
But when we
cast and a great team.
but we rarely talk about mental health issues in our cinema. Of course, our stars have come out in the open to talk about it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and of course, we
But our
had this
stories,
movie.
no, but I think, yeah, when we talk about it personally, it does kind of make it easy for people to understand, but through storytelling also, because stories are such an important part of our life and they affect us emotionally also. I may not be very willing to emotionally share my mental health experience, but through a story, I can do that through a story, through fiction. Because in reality, I'm not willing to, because it's private, it's mine, it's nobody else's business. But with stories, it can be emotional, and that emotionally, when it's impacted to people, I think you allow for a better sense of understanding of things.
But
So
in an industry which is like supposed to be very highly competitive with with erratic work schedules and everything, how do you, I won't say mental health, but how do you maintain your mental well-being?
well, I work in the industry. I'm not part of the industry, in the sense I look at it as a profession. I mean, as a job that I have to do, and then I try and be the best professional I can. I also don't agree to any shifts more than 12 hours, which includes hair and makeup and getting ready and all of those things like that. And I wish it could be the same for everybody, but I don't have that much power. I don't wield any that kind of power. Ideally, if you ask me, it should be 8-hour shifts. That's the best.
Yeah, should be. Yes. Yeah.
On the very due to some constraints, sometimes we end up working 8 hours, and then I feel that we got the most work done in 8 hours. Everybody's fresher, they're more willing to sort of put more effort into it. Anyway, it's just I'm getting into a little bit of idealism right now. So I draw lines. My life and my professional life and my personal life are different, and of course they are connected and they're affected by each other. But then I for example, I can afford to not take any calls after 7 p.m. And
You
not before
can.
9 a.m. Yeah, and then not on Sundays. I only that time is reserved only for personal calls. If it's a personal call, and if it's not a work call, then I entertain it. Except when I'm on set. When I'm on set, then scheduling and all of those things like that, call sheets and all that have been given. So I allow my manager to sort of communicate with me outside of that time. But if I'm not on set, then I don't bother them, they don't bother me. This is one way of me trying to have some sense of work life balance. And I stick to it 99% of the time, unless it's an absolute emergency, then I break the rule. But this is my way of also not putting pressure on my management team and things like that. I don't want to be accessible all the time, and I don't want to be able to access them also. We have our private lives. I have my life outside of this business also. So I want to be able to create that, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to do so. I think others can do so also, but we have this fear of missing out, and we have this fear that people will misunderstand us. They will blacklist us or not give us work, or they will be offended by if we don't pick the call, and all such things are there. I do feel to a very large extent it is us suffering in our imagination, and in reality is perhaps not so bad. And in my experience, I would tell that some many times I don't take calls. I know who's calling. I wouldn't take their call because it's beyond 7 o'clock. And the following day when I call them, they're perfectly fine to have a chat with me.
But you are saying that you treat it as a profession and then you draw a line. That
Yeah.
brings me to two questions. One is that from your performances, it seems that you live, eat, breathe acting, and
No.
that's because you're so good. And secondly, if it is just a profession, what made you quit your fashion designing profession? You were doing that, right?
Yes. I enjoyed being making clothes, but I wanted to have a one track mind. I realized that I can't manage this both, and um, the garment business is not so unstable as the movie business. And
Yes.
I had worked for 8 years, and I knew the workings of the garment business and the fashion business, how clothes
Mm.
get made, manufacturing, sourcing. I knew that. I had the know-how for that. I knew nothing about the entertainment business. I knew the craft. I had developed a skill set that I
Mm.
knew that I can offer to people, and it's useful. It's a pretty good skill set, and I'm creative, and I'm sure that I can find work. But I had no understanding of the nature of this business, which is also an important fact. It's very important to understand, because you understand positioning, you understand the business, you understand the business of theatricals, perceptions, how money is raised, how films are made, how every story has a budget. A lot of, you have to take interest even if you never want to be a producer. It helped me be pragmatic in my approach to my career. So I have to find the idealism for my craft should be counterbalanced by pragmatism with my career.
Mm.
So I was able to do that. So I had to learn. So I knew that if I don't dedicate enough mind space to learning things, to absorbing things, then I, I I would need time for that, and I won't be able to manage to do both. So I had to retire myself from making clothes, which I do miss.
Mm.
But I don't like, I'm happy to miss it because I'm
Happy
having
to
so much
miss it.
fun. Yeah, and I had to do it,
Mm.
and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm learning things every day. I'm on a set. I learn something new about the technical aspects of it, or the business aspects of it, or something I'm learning. So I had to do that, and to have
But
a focus, almost a single-minded focus in the beginning, before I could cut back, relax a little bit, and say that, okay, now I don't, now that's my profession, and now my personal life is different.
but are you your own fashion designer?
No, as in, like, I'm my own stylist. I mean, I have stopped designing, but then I have a
Okay.
huge collection of
You're.
clothes in my closet. So
Mm.
I like wearing my own clothes and sort of expressing my own sense of style. So I like doing
Mm.
that.
And would you say acting is a profession from which you need not
Sorry to interrupt,
retire?
Mark. We just
Or
have last two
Yeah,
minutes.
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Just one or two
Yeah,
questions. Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
would probably want to retire. Someday I
You
think I'll
would.
be like, yeah, it's
Mm.
very likely that I'll be, I don't know, I'll feel. See, there are two ways. One, you become irrelevant, and then so the
Mm.
jobs, kind of the quality of jobs kind of diminish.
Mm.
Or you work in, like, slightly lesser work or something like that. And I wonder what happens to many actors that I used to see. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing.
Mm.
So either that can happen, or I feel that I'm done. हो गया यार,
Mm.
बस हो गया. अभी ये
Okay.
नहीं होता है. अभी I don't have the motivation to sort of like do a project. Maybe that
Uh, uh,
that would be an idealistic situation for me. This is just me selfishly trying to
no,
satisfy my ego.
but you have felt this कि हो गया है बहुत. Of course, with your body of work, maybe yes. कि I've done it
No,
all.
no, 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 no. Not yet, not yet, not yet. I think I don't know when it will happen, but then I don't know. I hope maybe it'll never happen. Maybe I'll never
Or
lose
you
the
or
hunger.
you'll turn a director or somebody,
It is a
writer, director.
possibility. It is a
Mm.
possibility, and people have offered me. Um, Very renowned people have also offered me an opportunity, but
Mm.
I don't have any compulsion, any urge, any genuine urge to direct or tell a story. So I feel that people who really want to tell a story should get that opportunity rather than me.
On your wish list,
Nothing. No wish list, because wish list is limiting. It limits me. I want to be surprised.
you want to be surprised and keep surprising us. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you on that note,
Thank
and
you for your
wishing you
time.
all the best